Really done. Oh my god.
So you want to main Yorick. Well, do you like ghouls? Do you like graves? Do you like shovels? Do you like thick ghosts? And do you like pushing to inhibitor by 15 minutes? Then Yorick, the Shepherd of Souls, is for you. The lore of Yorick is he saw dead people. Yep, he just did. He was born with the natural gift to see the dead spirits of those past, and since everyone looked at him as a weird outcast, he found solace in the souls he spoke to. In fact, he began helping these souls to rest, which was always kind of a bittersweet idea because every ghoul friend he made, sending them to eternal rest means they would go away forever. He would see dead people, turn them into friends, and then lay them to rest, basically having them go away forever. Eventually, knowledge of his visions brought forth a bunch of monks who also said they were the same as him, but they don't actually see it. It's just their faith. In fact, with time, they didn't like Yorick because he literally took their faith and confirmed it, but only he could do it. It's almost as if, say, Christianity and a bunch of people who believe in seeing visions of God and Jesus and stuff, if there was a dude who's like, yeah, I'm literally speaking to God right now in face to face, you know, I literally see him. It kind of destroys the fabric of their religion and their faith. Now, him and the other monks all wore these little vials of healing water taken from the sacred spring of the Isles, and then when a massive cursed black mist came for them, the monks experienced such a fright and pain that they tore the vials from their necks and were all consumed. Yorick hesitantly did not, and he kept his vial as the mist surrounded him, kind of gnawing at his ankles but not able to touch him. What had happened is the Ruined King came over in an attempt to resurrect his queen, which is the maiden by the way, and failed, causing a massive curse across the Isles. Yorick is surrounded by the mist but is untouched, but will now use the spirits and corpses of his once beloved friends in an attempt to kill the Ruined King's corpse. Corpse. That's not a term. I said curse and corpse in one word. Curse. The Ruined King's curse. And so that's a mouthful, but basically he's a kid from the Sixth Sense with a vial of sacred water keeping him from being absolutely murdered, and he's taking all of his ghoulish, rotting corpse friends that he made before and using them in an attempt to kill the Ruined King and his curse. Well, the Ruined King's already dead, but you know, to stop the curse. In-game, Yorick is a top lane fighter tank pushing kind of guy. He controls little ghouls and one thick undead bitch to fight off enemies. Pre-rework Yorick was by far the worst person to fight ever. Now he still sucks to fight, but you know, he's okay. He's okay. What he does better than anyone in the game is his pushing power. Running Yorick with Demolish, ZZ Rot, and the Main in the Mist will give you 3 towers minimum or your money back. He pushes like a monster before the new runes, but with Demolish making his Q hit towers, it made him so good. He pushes so strong. Yorick right now is so strong. He never wants to stop beating on people. It's fun, it's gross, it's funny, and holy hell, turrets cry. So Yorick's passive is an army of penis monsters. Yorick and the Maiden can have 4 ghouls at a time, or Mistwalkers. Grave is created on a champion death, and also every 12, 8, and 4 non-champion death that comes with level. Also kills the Yorick's Q, create a grave, and here's some ghoulish math. Alright, listen, the Mistwalkers are little turds with arms that fling shit at your enemies in the form of punching. There is way too much math to them to list all of it, so I'll TLDR it for you. You can have 4 of them, up to at a time. They naturally push the lane or follow you depending on where they are. Health and damage scales with max HP and AD. The attack speed of the Mistwalkers are based on level. Movement speed is 300, but fast when you're Yorick. That's pretty much it. They're little shits. So Yorick's Q is gay for graves. Your next auto attack has 225 range and deals bonus physical damage. It heals Yorick based on level, and heals are doubled if he's under half HP. It resets your auto attack timer. If 3 graves minimum are nearby, you can recast your Q to raise those graves as Mistwalkers, and here's your digging graves math. So Q is a standard auto attack amplifier. It deals bonus damage, heals a flat amount via level, but most importantly, a kill with it will create a grave. That grave can be used to summon those little Mistwalkers and start wreaking havoc. Other than that, it's just a very standard ability, though the extra range is nice. Yorick's W is a Freaky Circle. It creates a wall of spirits in a circle. 1 second cast time that lasts 4 seconds, and enemies cannot walk through the circle. Allies can walk through, and the health has about 2 to 5 auto attacks depending on your rank and the circle of spook math. Very easy move. Think Jarvan's Cataclysm, except no damage and can be destroyed. The Spooky Circle is a nice ability because you and your ghouls can start wailing on whoever's in the circle, and they have to choose, do they prioritize you the ghouls or the circle that's currently holding them there. This also helps slow down incoming gankers, and especially late game when it takes 4 auto attacks to destroy it, it's a real pain. Moving on, Yorick's E is go forth, my little bitches. You throw a ball at a target that deals 15% current HP and has a minimum damage threshold, slows by 30% for 2 seconds, marks for 4 seconds. Yorick gains movement speed towards the mark, and the Mistwalkers pounce on the marked targets, and here's some weird Misty Goblet math. This E is very fun. It's just very hard to aim. It has a weird cast range and a weirder hitbox. Most importantly, it's a glob of mist. That's weird. The current HP is nice, the slow is nice, but what really makes it nice is the mark. Yorick's movement speed towards them and their slow helps them become a lot stickier, but the bouncing of the Mistwalkers is actually the biggest part of it. They all just start jumping and beating the hell out of the target, taking their lunch money for quite some time until either they're killed or the mark wears off. This is a lot of extra damage. Finally, Yorick's ultimate is the Maiden of the Thickness. You summon the Maiden of the Mist, and she summons Mistwalkers with her, and that's all she does. The Mistwalkers were hard to explain. The Maiden isn't easier, so let's just get on with it. She has health that's increased based on Yorick's max HP, and does constant magic damage with extra based on Yorick's AD. She has a 1.0 attack speed and the same movement speed as the Mistwalkers. She also marks a certain target every 2 seconds, that when Yorick auto attacks them, it deals 5 to 10% of their max HP depending on level. That's the Maiden. Basically, she's a big creature that double teams whoever Yorick is banging and lasts literally until death. She will never go away until she dies, which does happen a lot faster if Yorick dies or she's left alone. Other than that, she pushes waves like a motherfucker and isn't prioritized by turrets over cannons or the little dudes, and she can live for a seriously long time. Maiden is probably one of the best pets in the entire game, along with Tibbers and Daisy. Actually, I would consider it better than those two because there's just so much more you can do with the Maiden. So skill max, I go QEW. Q is obvious, don't let me see you asking me why. W max is nice for wall health, but it only increases in health at rank 3 and 5, so it's not really worth it to me. But E second is nice because the lower minimum magic damage is very important and it's up more often. What would be nice, because Yorick actually has a very strong late game, is if they gave him only 1 wall health, but they had to go up to 5, making it better in the late game and worse in the early game. It's just like 1 extra health per number. That would make maxing W really good. But how do I play Yorick? Yorick, BORICK, B. So before we talk about New York, let's talk about old Yorick. He was the biggest asshole ever. Ghouls, 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 and was actually pretty solid when he would revive an AD carry and give him a lot more time to beat on people. Old Yorick was probably the biggest lane bully in the entire game. You think Renekton's annoying, you think Darius is annoying, you think Quinn is annoying? Yorick, old Yorick, probably was the worst. He was such an abuser. He was kind of meh late game, but God, he was the worst. He's actually what got me into gold, and into platinum way back like 3 seasons ago. I just spammed Yorick and boom, I was there in no time. Now, Yorick is kind of a bruiser tank pusher hybrid. He holds his own fine without the ghouls, but generally wants ghouls to do enough damage to make him go crazy and go to Pound Town. Q is your sustain tool and also your Mistwalker tool. It's always good to have a bunch of Mistwalkers ready if you get engaged on. In fact, Yorick's early game isn't too tough in general, so, thanks to his walkers. You really can't trade with him, and when those guys are alive, they are just too strong and they gangbang you really hard. See, it's kind of hard to talk about Yorick because he's complex, but also very basic. He does damage and does more with little dudes, but that's it. He's a very simple kind of champion. Get ghouls, throw your E, trap them, and then beat on them. It's just so much math involved with the Maiden and the ghouls and how everything operates. Now, if they get cocky, you just throw the Maiden out, it forces them away, and you just push until the entire game is finished. You push, you push, you push. That's just Yorick. Playing Yorick mechanically is very simple. What makes a good Yorick player is Rotatos, Potatoes, and Mistwalkers. When am I allowed to push? When's a good time to pull out the Maiden? Am I good to fight this fight? Do I have enough ghouls up? That's what makes a good York. Everything past that is just destroying towers like they're nothing. Your Q procs on towers, Demolish helps, Maiden pushes, the Mistwalkers push. If you want a ZZ Rot portal, that pushes. You want Rift Herald, why not? That'll push. You just, God, Yorick pushes so hard. He will break down your towers faster than you can say September 11th. So in lane, Yorick is actually rather safe and strong. He stays healthy with his Q, can get more farm thanks to auto attack canceling, and also can cause a lot of annoyances by periodically throwing an E at an enemy while ghouls are out and about. He's actually really strong in lane. It's nice. Mid game, you need to push, and I'm talking like push it like pregnancy. The goal is to force your enemy out of lane and push down their turret as fast as possible. Doing so will net you and your team plenty of gold. If you're lucky enough too, you'll be able to force both the laner and the jungler back. Hell, you can go for tier 2 turrets as well. Yorick just pushes so well. If bot lane is going somewhere and shenanigans are happening, just take bot turret, you know? Pushing is your strongest feat. Late game, you have two options. Stay and keep split pushing, or team fight. Normally, split pushing is really good because Demolish will basically do around 40% of a turret's HP at this point. However, you'll probably need a team fight at some point. If you do, your job is to throw down the Maiden and focus who she's focusing. Put your ring around whoever she's attacking and then beat the hell out of them. Once the Maiden changes focus, go ahead and change with them as well, or if she dies, be careful and maybe back off. Hopefully the two of you can soak up enough damage to make it all worth it. Or split push, your call. When it comes to Yorick builds, I go Triforce, Titanic, and full tank. Triforce is great for someone like Yorick and has everything you could ever want. Titanic is good, of course, and the tank you get, the stronger it becomes, so do that, become strong. Keystone-wise, I go Grasp of the Undying and Resolve, and then go with things like Demolish and perhaps Second Wind if you need it, or, you know, Overgrowth. It doesn't really matter, you know, those are situational, but Demolish and Grasp is important, and I go either Sorcery or Precision. I like Precision for either Tenacity or Lifesteal to help me out even more and make Spirit Visage a good choice, or I go Sorcery for Transcendence because he can build a lot of cooldown reduction. For Yorick skins, we have Heavy Metal Shovel Yorick, the Undertaker Yorick, and the Meme Killer Yorick. And finally, before I go, here are the usual Yorick clips. Enjoy. So let us wrap up Yorick. He's good, very good in fact. Tanky, powerful, a pushing king. He's not too tough to use either, but he is very fun. His lore implications are also quite nice. I want to know more about the Shadow Isles in the near future. I'm pretty excited about it. But that's Yorick. There's a lot of math behind him, but in reality, it's pretty fun to play and not too tough. Take turrets and win the game. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this So You Want a Main Yorick video. If you enjoyed it, go dig a hole in my name. That's all I ask. Like Shia LaBeouf in holes. My name is Bricky. Please don't fuck up my solo queue. Bye-bye.